The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the first day of July. It's the first day of the second half of the calendar year. Wow. Welcome to the second calendar year, right, Kills? Welcome to the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamel Hartman, along with my sister, Mikaela and as well as Leanna Lambert, who will be with us a bit later to bring you the latest in her news break. Kales, I'm almost scared to ask you this.
What you gonna ask me? I was just gonna say good morning first, because good morning. Buenos dias.
I was just gonna ask you, how are you today? And
I am good. I think that coming to the middle of the year has kind of like, I don't want to say woke me up because I've always been awake, obviously, but I had an amazing call with my therapist yesterday. And now I'm like, you know what? Let's step that foot on the gas. Let's get it together because it's 6 months left in 2022. And if things didn't go your way in the first half, that's okay. You got plenty time, but you got to accelerate now. So that's like my let's go.
Yeah, I love to hear it. And actually, we're going to get to that about, us now being in the second half of the year. Good morning, everyone. And thanks for making us part of your daily routine. We're going to be having a discussion today. We were going to have Ebony Susan on, but we're going to be talking about Bill Cosby, big situation. And it's not just America or Bill Cosby. This is huge. This is a global situation. So we're going to be engaged in that conversation. Also, we're gonna have the daily play today, and the daily play is going to be name that place with a twist. And I think that we've got our folks. I think
we said this last week and we did it twice and I got it twice, twice.
No, we've got you on this one, Kales. We've got you. But
let's see.
We're going to talk about Cosby. But I want to ask the audience. I want to get from the audience, right? It's been an interesting six months. Last year, this time, many people were talking about, I can't wait for 2020 to be over, as if this pandemic was somehow related to the calendar, right?
Right.
And, 6 months in, it's probably been, you're used to it now, but it hasn't been any better for a lot of people, right?
Correct.
I guess the question to the audience is, how has the first half of the year been for you? What do you feel like you've done better than last year, and how are you looking at improving in the second half of the year? Speak to us this morning, Kales. You just shared some stuff. How did your first 6 months go?
Sure. So, like for me, many people know, I have an online business, and so for me, this year I was like, all right, this is going to be the year that I really focus on what it is that I'm doing. And so I worked with some coaches, I got some clarity. And what I thought I was going to be doing this year is not at all what I'm doing in terms of what I'm focusing on. And I think for me, the hardest part is really, and this might sound a little woo-woo, but I'm going to go there. The hardest part is letting the universe / God, however you look at it, guide me, And so for me, like, I downplay my talents, my skills, and my abilities because they come so natural and easy to me. Perfect example, being on video, right? And I really had to just stop, take pause, and listen. Okay, this is what you're actually really, really good at. This is what you should be doing. Stop, focus, listen to that, and take heed, you know? And I think a lot of times we just want to force everything. We want things to go our way and we want to rush things when in reality, that's not how life works. And I feel like so many people would agree with me on that because whatever we have planned doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah. No, I think you make so many awesome points just now. And I think it's important not to be too hard on yourself when things don't work as well. Um, there's a recovery period for us, right? Audience, you're all saying good morning back to you. But how has your first 6 months of 2021 gone? How's the first half of the year been for you? And what are you looking forward to doing in the second half? It's July 1st, folks. 6 months, half of the year is done already.
Yeah.
Like, folks, this year is flying by. Time is flying. Sam Cat Play says, I look at the news conferences or news less and trust God more. So for some people, this is significant. This is significant.
Yeah.
A change that I've made, for instance, is I don't argue with people on social media. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Like, I feel, for me, you would be surprised. And I want to actually go back to Sam Cat Place's comment. I look at the news conferences or news less and trust God more. This is important for your mental state.
Yes, absolutely. First. It's self-care.
Yeah. Like I legit, like I'm a Twitter guy, so I'm not on Facebook as much as I am Twitter, right? I observe when I'm on Facebook, and I'm honestly, I don't feel any way regardless of how people feel. If you want to share how you feel and people jump on it, that's on you. This is my biggest issue with today. This is my biggest issue. Yes, everyone has an opinion. Yes, we can agree that everyone has an opinion.
Yep.
What we can agree on is that every opinion is valid.
Yes.
Or that everyone's opinion should be respected. I think that's the issue of the time we're living in. When people start saying, oh, well, I have an opinion. Yeah, you do. But other people don't have to respect it or listen to it. Your opinion could be that, okay, well, punching a woman in her face is okay. You can believe that that is okay based on however you were born, how you were raised. That's an opinion.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that your opinion is valid. That doesn't mean your opinion should be respected or heard. And I think we live in a time where people they kind of don't understand what an opinion actually is. They think that it's a freedom of speech. When people start talking like that, freedom of speech, there's no such thing. I mean,
look at the cancel culture. Hello.
It's no such thing. So I just find it interesting. So, going back to Sam Cat Place's comment, for those who may just join, what she stated was, I look at the news conferences or news less and trust God. And this, as Mikaela just said, this is a part of, mental peace, like keeping your sanity. It's tough out here. So I have done that with social media. I tend not to go on other people's pages and argue or talk. I slip up every now and then. We're not perfect.
Same, yeah.
We're not perfect, but that's me. I've learned, I'm gonna tell you, I learned something from one of our viewers.
Okay.
I learned how to mute people on social media so that I don't see their stuff.
Listen, I have so many people muted on social media, and this started for me prior to the 2016 election. Like, I mute people left and right. The thing is, it's not personal, but I'm in a place in my life where I'm not interested in lowering my vibe to meet you. I'm not interested in that. Like, either you come up to meet me or we just don't have conversation. Like, that's it. It's very simple. And it took me a long time to get there. And now I'm just like, this is where you can find me. If you can't make your way up to here, then we don't need to be talking. Point blank, period, done.
Yeah. I have a confession, Kales. I have a confession.
Okay.
So Elizabeth Farrell, I enjoy Elizabeth. I actually learned about Call me a little slow. I'm not the smartest when it comes to social media. I actually learned about the mute function from her because she had, so on Twitter, like I follow her. And so I learned it. So she says, I live by the mute function. Like if it wasn't for, I didn't even know this existed. I use social media, but I'm not really that into it. But folks, honestly, I had a discussion with someone last night, and this is a person well known in Bermuda. She's very opinionated. I love her, but a lot of people, just think she's, out there and she's rude and whatever. But I'm just drawn to people who, I think she's challenging. Right? And what I said to her regarding social media is that though it's a public platform, we each have our private spaces that we create for those we want to engage with. Yes. People, you have the right to communicate with who you want to communicate with in these spaces. You really do. And so I plead with you, like, honestly, my first 6 months of the year, and Sam Cat Plays, I'm going to keep picking on your comment because I have adopted that same way. I have found ways to create better spaces, healthier spaces for myself in the first 6 months. That would probably be the biggest change that I made personally.
The thing is, like, for me, one of the big things that I've focused on this year, which has been very hard for me, is boundaries. Right? Because, and the thing is, boundaries is not about being rude to people. It's about protecting yourself and protecting your peace. And I think with COVID and a lot of people working from home for the past 16 months or whatever, boundaries are even more important now because you have bosses who think it's okay to email you late at night and expect a response. You know what I mean? Emailing you on a Saturday or a Sunday unwarranted. And I know that there are people who feel, oh, I should be replying to this, I should be on. And it's like, no, you got to set up a boundary to protect your peace. And so boundaries has been very important to me. And it's really saved my sanity and helped me to stay on this like high vibe path that I'm on.
Folks, before we go to the comments, I'm gonna tell you, she told me off. She told me off. She set that boundary with me early. But no, one of the things, and she's right. She's right. I'm going to use my business partners as an example. I know they have families. I do not, unless we have an off meeting or whatnot. They don't even realize it until one day we had a chat, and I said it to them. I try not to communicate that with them in the evening. Now, we don't have any like set times to communicate, but the reason for that is I respect their space, their family, their time. I even apologize, like Leanna. Sometimes I'll hit Lee up in the evening, and I'm apologetic because at the end of the day, I just feel like your time is so important for you to reset. It's your time to do what you want, and so there honestly, and if people take it personal when you're setting those boundaries, that's on you. That's not on you. Seriously.
Exactly.
It's important. Let's go to some comments, Kills. Shikarina.
TDH is the only news I've watched since late March 2020. Yes, love to hear it.
We appreciate you. Sam Cat Plays, mental health and self-care is important. I feel that everyone has suffered in that way, and it's sad. Cindy Swan's, Kills.
We don't have to agree with everyone's opinion, and it's okay to agree to disagree respectfully. I agree with that, but I also don't agree with that because there are a lot of times people put out opinions as facts, and I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to agree to disagree with you. I'm just not.
And I agree with you. I think that when people say agree to disagree, I think it cheapens one's side that's probably more right. And I want us to be very careful when it comes to opinions. I really do. I think we can both be outside right now and look up at the sky, right? And I can say, oh, that looks blue. And you're like, well, no, it's actually turquoise, whatever, right? Two different opinions. And it's like, okay, it's not that serious, and turns into this big argument. Now let's go to something more serious. Okay. We're going to be discussing Bill Cosby in about 10 minutes. So do not go anywhere. I don't know necessarily Mikaela stands. I never really followed the case, and I've done some reading overnight. We may disagree on it, and I'm gonna be honest with you. My opinion is not gonna be as valid as a woman, especially a woman who has probably been sexually assaulted. I know this. There are men who don't. That's what I mean where some opinions are not valid, and we have to be honest about that.
Exactly. It's like what we talked about yesterday. Someone might be of the opinion that the Premier David Burt is working with Bill Gates, as you know, people have commented on Facebook multiple times. And I might be like, that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not agreeing to disagree with you because your opinion is wild and ridiculous and baseless. So no, I don't like the agree to disagree when it comes to certain issues. Absolutely not.
Indeed. James Birch says, I try not to believe everything I think because there's a lot, because there's a lot that's problematic. Well, this is one of those comments I just want to frame, James, man.
No, this is exactly how I am, because I'm all into like mindset and growth mindset and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to go too deep in it today, but there are lies that we tell ourselves. There are things that we believe that are not true, and they shape our entire lives. And when we can realize that they're not true, that's when the real change happens. And that's a lot what I've been working with this year as well. So thank you, James, for that. That is so important.
Indeed. Philip Trott says, oh, you mute people now, so that's why you ain't responding to me on Twitter. Bro, trust me.
He's never gonna mute Uncle Phil. Come on.
No, here's the thing. So last night, touch on this. We're gonna bring Leanna in a bit, and then we'll go take our news break, commercial break, and we're gonna be discussing Bill Cosby. So do not go anywhere. Definitely want everyone in that. But last night I was up till probably 1 a.m. So when I'm up that late, it's usually because it's the playoffs, basketball. And Phil was tweeting, and I'm like, I think I might have responded to one of his tweets, right? But I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be sleeping. People can't know I'm up this late, right? So I'm like, I'm not tweeting. But he and I both follow Shannon Sharp, who is just like the most hilarious sports person going on Twitter. Anyway, Phil, I would have tweeted you late last night, but I'm like, maybe he ain't supposed to be up either. But anyway,
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, Phil's up this late, okay?
He's watching his boy. He probably was using the baby as an excuse. But I want to say this before we bring Leanna in and go to the news. There's something special happening in American sports right now, at least in basketball. Of the 4 teams that were left, 3 of the 4 head coaches were Black.
Oh, I love it. What 4 teams are left? I haven't been paying attention.
It's 3 now. The Phoenix Suns eliminated the Los Angeles Clippers last night. And then the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks play tonight. And those are
the 2 contenders for the championship? The Hawks and the Bucks?
Well, you know what, Kales? Honestly, it is a surprise. And they showed the statistics that either the teams left have never won it or haven't won in like our lifetime, right? So it's brilliant for sport for these cities to actually be doing well.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, the Phoenix Suns, their story is so great. And I'm going to tell you before we go to break, because we've got to keep a tight timeline, folks. I'm a fan of Phoenix simply because of Monty Williams. Monty Williams is a Black head coach. Monty Williams tragically lost his wife in a car accident about 3 years ago.
Wow.
He's a very, very soft-spoken, nice guy. Like he's one of those very religious Christian guys. Really, his just an overall, he seems very nice. And he's taken this team that had not made the playoffs in 10 years.
Wow.
NBA Finals. They didn't make it last year, and they're in the NBA Finals. It's a great story. I don't have an NBA team. I mean, I'm got my Florida Panthers on today, but I don't have an NBA team. But I just love a great story. We'll let you have your Celtics. Let's bring Lee in so we go to the news break. But folks, do not go anywhere. Also, if you have been on Twitter or Facebook, you've seen a lot of chatter of Bill Cosby. Share it. Let's get those things in. We are having a conversation today. Lee, how you doing?
Good morning. First off,
let's give it a round of applause. Hold up, where's the round of applause? Here we go. So we welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the bright side. No red. no salmon.
No salmon today. Yes, you will be seeing blue and blue all month long. So for everyone out there who had misconceptions, y'all are wrong.
All right.
Hello.
Leanna is in the his house. Lee, I'm gonna let you go to the news break, and yeah, over to you, sister. Oops, what did I do?
Thanks, Jamel and Mikaela, and good morning to all of our listeners out there. Happy first day of the month. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our daily hour news break. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. The recent rise in traffic fatalities, accidents, and offenses has caused police to ramp up their presence on the island's roads in an effort to combat these incidents. Now, at a press conference yesterday afternoon, the police commissioner, Stephen Corbishley, said that there had been 6 road deaths this year, equaling the number for the whole of 2020, and added that there had been 130 serious injuries on the road so far in 2021, compared to just 83 for the entire year last year. Now, the Bermuda Police Services Traffic Unit is to be expanded, and technology such as CCTV and speed cameras are said to be upgraded. Mr. Corbishley said that the island's CCTV infrastructure was being developed to get it back up to standard, and that the BPS was in talks with government on the subject of speed cameras. He said that police were concerned in the way in which road users were behaving prior to curfews, saying it was almost like a Formula One Grand Prix about 15 to 20 minutes before curfew struck. Now, that nature of that sort of behavior, he said, has seemed to have continued. The commissioner acknowledged that there was only so much that the BPS could do, and that motorists needed to take responsibility for their actions. Meanwhile, police have praised the organizers of the protest on the grounds of cabinet for the peaceful manner in which they conducted themselves. On Tuesday, demonstrators gathered to present a series of demands to Premier David Burt and his cabinet to end travel restrictions and other COVID-19 prevention measures. Now, Chief Inspector Alex Rollin of the Community Policing Division said that organizers were in constant contact with the Bermuda Police Service in the lead up to the event, and they kept police abreast of what their plans were for the day, assuring there would be neither encouragement nor tolerance of any illegal activity or untoward behavior. He said that the rally passed without incident, and that the police presence at the Cabinet Office grounds was therefore kept at a minimum, with officers only engaging in crowd control duties. The Bermuda Hospitals Board has announced that they have revised blood donor eligibility criteria used in the Bermuda Blood Donor Center. The main changes relate to eligibility criteria, which will protect the blood supply from certain viruses that can be transmitted through blood, but ensure the safest possible voluntary blood supply for people in Bermuda who need transfusions. Now, activities such as tattoos, travelers to malaria countries, and individuals exposed to allergenic tissue through transplant or transfusions are a few of those which used to require a 12-month deferral. However, that time period has been reduced to only having a 3-month deferral. Now, this will be based on improved testing accuracy. Even residents who previously could not donate because they spent time in the Azores or Portugal between 1980 and 1996 can now donate. And trailblazing Bermudian artist Charles Lloyd Tucker will be honored with an exhibition marking the 50th anniversary of his death. The exhibition will open at the Masterworks Museum of Bermuda Art until September and will include several of his watercolor, oil paint, and pen and ink drawings, which depict the natural beauty of Bermuda. Mr. Tucker became the first art teacher at Berkeley Institute in 1954 and stayed in the position until his death in 1971. He was also one of the founding members of the Bermuda Society of Arts and had his work exhibited both in Bermuda and across the East Coast of the United States. Risa Hunter, the executive director, said that those visiting the exhibition will get to see the talent of Mr. Tucker as an artist who captured our island, our people, and our culture in a distinctive and compelling way. For today's weather, we have a high near 84 and a low near 78 degrees. We'll see sunny periods with a chance of a late morning shower. As high pressure sits to the east, warm and humid tropical air and moisture is drawn into the area from the southwest. Now, this gradually erodes mainly dry conditions today, while increasing cloud cover and the likelihood of showers from tonight into Friday. But by Saturday, a frontal boundary will set up to our northwest, bringing a few doses of wet weather along with strong southwesterly winds for much of the weekend. That's all for our daily hour news break. Let's head back to Jamel and Mikaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All righty, thanks so much for that, Lee. So just a reminder to the audience, we won't be back until next Tuesday. These guys wake up very early every day, and I don't want to be accused of working them to death. Also, I want a break too.
Jamel wants a break. Let's just put it out.
I was just about to say,
I'm gonna put it on you guys.
About this right now.
I'm gonna put it on you guys, make it look good. You know what I'm saying? But no, we're taking a break, so there's no show tomorrow. But there is Good Day Bermuda tomorrow. The girls of Good Day Bermuda will still be on at an excellent episode today. But you will be missing our faces for the next 4 days. So we'll miss you too. We'll miss you too. So Lee, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your break, and we can't wait to see you back on, what's the date on Tuesday?
The 6th?
July 6th. Yeah, I'm going with the 6th. What, Mikaela?
Oh, well, happy July 4th to you. Have a good weekend. Do you have any plans?
I'm going to see Bermuda tomorrow, I believe. So that's a good thing. I'm going to see Bermuda play Barbados. So that's part of the plans. And I think whatever my wife says we're doing to see fireworks or something, I'll just go along with my Welch's birthday.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Sounds great. Simple and easy.
Have a great weekend, Lee. See you soon.
You guys too. See you Tuesday. Bye, guys.
All right, folks. Do not go anywhere. Trust me. You don't want to miss this convo. If you've never seen Mikaela go in, Bill Cosby, folks. We'll be right back.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
We're welcoming back the often featured Whole Food veterans Bragg Live Food products, renowned for their live probiotic organic raw cider vinegar and savory seasonings. Paul Bragg is the man behind the products that has originated health food stores, restaurants, and spas, and promoted nutrition education through the media, helping lay the foundation for the enlightened way we make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. This month we're featuring Bragg Organic Raw and Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar and Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to the big show. She's Mikaela and I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Look, a lot going on. I mean, before we get into the conversation, so our sister Terry from Good Day Bermuda, she says, so all this time you can sort out my TDH mug, Jamel. So, folks, Terry's going to have her mug. She's going to have it by Monday. That's the slander. No, we're not taking. She's gonna have it. Sherry says, "Go Hawks." So that was to your
right. Yeah.
Right. She's always got the wrong team when it comes to sports. But no, I like her Hawks. They're exciting. But look, let's get right to the combo. It's gonna be an interesting one. Here's the question for the audience. What are your thoughts on Bill Cosby's release? Let me re-ask this question. I'm not asking about Cliff Huxtable or any character. I'm asking you, what are your thoughts on Bill Cosby's release? And please, if you want to speak about what I've been seeing that he was going to buy NBC and this is what it, just share the link or share the facts, or don't just share what you've heard. Let's have a conversation, a mature conversation, an adult conversation, and share your thoughts on the release of Bill Cosby. Mikaela.
Yeah. So as many of you know, I started my career as a reporter. I was a reporter for, oh gosh, 9 years? 9 years, okay? I have covered endless sex assault trials. So it used to be called rape in Bermuda. It's now called serious sex assault. It's been called serious sex assault for probably the past, I don't know, 15 years or so. And I can say with everything within me, the courage it takes for a woman to not only come forward to the police and say that she was raped, but to testify in a courtroom in front of the person who raped her, that takes immense courage. So when you have a situation where there is a man beloved because of a character that he played on TV, who for decades sexually assaulted women, drugged them, raped them, etc., and you have people cheering for his release from prison because of a technicality, that's a problem for me. That is a massive problem for me, because at the end of the day, Black women aren't believed, and the majority of his victims were Black, and they're not believed. So don't, please, I really don't want to see any comments on here about Bill Cosby didn't do anything wrong. He did. He admitted that he did wrong. He only admitted it because he was told he wouldn't be prosecuted. So please don't take this release from prison as, justice. It's not justice. So think about those victims.
So, okay, let's break it down. For those who don't know, he did a deposition, it's called a deposition, with a previous prosecutor, that if he shared the details of what he did.
Let's hold on. Pause real quick.
Okay.
So it was a civil suit.
Okay.
So as a part of the civil lawsuit, he was required to do a deposition, like you said, and in that deposition, in exchange for him admitting his wrongdoings, he was allowed not to be prosecuted. And then the prosecutors then took that testimony and prosecuted him years later with that same testimony. So that's why he got out of jail. Not because he's innocent, not because his victims were proven to be liars, because they're not, because he admitted it all under oath. So that's why he's out. Nothing to do with justice.
So let me go. So there, CNBC reporting on Bill Cosby being released from prison. Was, for those who don't know, he was sentenced to a 3 to 10 year prison term, and I believe he served 2 years already.
2 years.
3 years already. And his lawyer is quoted as saying, "This is the justice Mr. Cosby has been fighting for. They saw the light." He was given a deal and he had immunity. He should have never been charged. So her justice is saying that, it's not saying that he's not guilty or innocent of the sexual assaults. That's not what his lawyer states. She's saying the injustice was on behalf of an agreement, which Mikaela said was a technicality. Now, let me just, if you don't mind, Mikaela, read from CNBC is stating, Cosby was accused of drugging and molesting Andrea Constant, from the former Temple University employee, whose allegation was the basis of the criminal case, at his estate in 2004. He was charged in 2015 for the alleged attack and arrested just days before the 12-year statute of limitations expired.
Right.
Interesting. He was sentenced in 2018. He has said his contact with the lady was consensual. Now, what did the deposition, Mikaela, what did that state?
Sure. So the way that I understand it is that there was a civil court deposition, and within that deposition, he gave evidence as to what he did to this woman. Okay. And as a result of that evidence, years later, they then charged him, even though an agreement was in place for him not to be charged. Which you have to remember, there are a lot of times when victims don't want to come forward. There are a lot of times because when it comes to, and I'm going to say serious sexual assault, I'm not going to say rape, I'm just going to say serious sexual assault because that's the legal term. When we talk about serious sexual assault, even though there is it's usually a man. I'm not saying that women aren't capable of serious sexual assault, but usually we find it's a man. And it seems as though the man is the one on trial, or the man is the one being accused, but everything about the woman is being dredged up. And so there's that's the reason why most women don't want to come forward. So what happens is you tend to have these civil suits. So like the dear late Kobe Bryant, for instance, there was a civil suit. There are many men in positions of power who've settled with their victims, and as a result of the settlement, neither parties are supposed to say anything. So in this case, there was one woman for this one case in Pennsylvania, but there were many women who came out, including supermodel Beverly Johnson, who said that he did it to her. So it's not a case of Bill Cosby slipped up one time. And you have to remember, he admitted all this under oath, because he was told he wouldn't be prosecuted. So the only reason he admitted it was because he was told he would never be prosecuted. So you have to remember these conversations from 3-4 years ago. What was it? Quaaludes? Is that what it's called? I think that's how you say it.
I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think it's Quaaludes. I could be saying it wrong, but
I rely on you in that respect.
Yeah, that's what he was drugging these women with. Yeah. So we have to completely separate the character that was beloved on the show with the man who for decades has been drugging and raping women. Those are two. He's not Cliff Huxtable is not a person.
So let's I think majority would, I think most right thinking people would agree with you there. But let's go to the other side, Mikaela, because there are people who, like you said, this doesn't exonerate him, as someone said in the audience. This doesn't mean he didn't do it. He already admitted it, right? But then you have the other side where, quote, finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected.
Quote, is that from Felicia Rashad?
Yes, and Felicia Rashad, for those who don't know, is his former co-star wife. She played Claire Huxtable. Now, with this comment, see, we have to be careful as well, because is she talking about the miscarriage of justice by the DA for prosecuting him when the agreement was not to, or is she talking about the actual conviction because his behavior? Now, she went on to tweet again saying, I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. Personally, I know from friends and family that such abuse has lifelong residual effects. My heartfelt wish is for healing. What are your thoughts on that? Audience, what are your thoughts on that?
From the beginning, if my memory serves me right, Miss Felicia Rashad has always been on Bill Cosby's side. Always. So she seems to be not able to separate the man that she worked with for years from the man who he actually is. So that's my issue with that. My issue with that is also that certain sectors of the Black community don't believe what happened because the woman who accused him and ultimately got a civil suit is not a Black woman. I don't know if she looks like she's white, but I'm not sure. So it's just like, at what point do we believe women? At what point do we believe women? I don't want to hear this Felicia Rashad nonsense. And I say nonsense because she knew exactly what she was doing. She knows that tweet or statement that she put out will be inferred in the way that it's being inferred. So it's like, just stop. I'm not here for it.
Let's go to some comments. We have quite a few. I'll let you read them. Kales, Nicole Walker.
Sure. I think it is a very disappointing and concerning outcome. It's a huge problem for me that he is released and that he can't be tried again. Well, unless he does it again.
Yeah, but see, I read that too, Nicole, that he can't be tried again. But I'm like, there were so many different cases. Can they not try him on one of the other cases? I'm not a legal expert.
You have to remember the statute of limitations. So the statute of limitations has likely expired. And you have to remember the majority of these women never came forward to the police. You have to remember Bill Cosby. Go ahead.
But no, I get that. But okay, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but a serial killer, right, don't really stop killing 30 years ago. They'll continue doing it, just probably become smarter. My point is, I understand statute of limitations. You can't tell me that this gentleman didn't continue where it's probably been within the, you know what I'm saying? So there's got to be a case out there. But I want to go back to what you said, but something like this happening is probably discouraging someone from coming forward even more, right?
Right. Well, this is the thing about it. We have to remember Bill Cosby has always been in a position of power for decades, right? So as a woman, especially a young woman, if you're a young actress or you're a young model or a young assistant, whatever, he's the powerful one. So who are people going to believe, you or him? And then there's this whole notion of, oh, well, people are just coming forward to get money. Who on God's green earth is going to come forward and make up that they were sexually assaulted so that the entire world can get all in their pocket and judge them for money? Who's going to do that?
I mean, in fairness, it has happened, but it's not a norm. It has.
It's not a norm. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but
I agree. You're taking a risk in doing that. Like if you want money that bad,
right? To come up against a man of power like Bill Cosby, who's beloved, that's a massive, like, look how they character assassinated attorney Andrea, I can't remember the last name, the woman in the Temple University case. Look how they came after her.
Yeah, let's go to the comments. A lot to get through. First, he has not, Michelle White says, first, he has not been exonerated. The prosecution did not follow proper procedures. It's their fault that he gets not justice. Well, we're going to touch on that prosecutor because something very interesting about the prosecutor who made the deal with him. Charlie Pringle, thank you, Mikaela. It's amazing how many people are overlooking the fine details. He's a serial rapist. Kathy Bromby says justice is never seen to be served, and Marquita Lee says justice was not served. Sam Cat plays kills.
It's definitely not justice. Sexual assault takes away a piece of you that you can never get back. If it's a technicality, keep him there in prison and sort it out. Either way, he did what he did. Think of the victims. Agree?
Indeed. Charlene Pringle kills.
In Bermuda, sexual assault is the term used, but it's dependent upon when the event took place. Rape is still used in historical cases if they occurred before the law/terminology was changed. Yes, that is correct.
And Terry is saying there's the issue around the criminal justice system, and also black men go through the ringer when it comes their charges in comparison to other races. Well, I want to touch on something because, and I'm glad you said that. Bill Cosby, I haven't been a fan long before this. And I wasn't a fan because of how he always basically demonized black men. That's how I took it. Like it was always like he disliked how the black culture evolved. And so I had issues. And what bothers me about this is, do you think the average Joe would be out of prison right now getting released? No, because they don't have $3 million to pay off somebody. So this is when people bring up the race thing for me, I'm like, I don't consider him one of me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a race thing. We look at Harvey Weinstein, which is similar in that both men of power in Hollywood, older men using their power and positions to sexually assault/rape younger women. So it's a similar thing, and Harvey Weinstein's still in jail, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that this is a race thing at all, regardless of what some of his supporters have said. I don't think so.
I wanna Sean Smith has a comment question. He said, just a question, as I did not follow his case. Did he admit having sex with these women, or did he admit drugging them and having sex? If he did the latter, are there any laws by which he could charge under some sort of misuse of drugs? Interesting.
That is interesting. So he admitted drugging the women and then having sex with them, because if my memory serves me correctly, he was talking about how he would put the Quaalude, or however you say it, in their drink to relax them, which is drugging, right? And those are like those old school, like 1970, 1980 date rape drugs, essentially. But I assume whatever deal was made was that it was all going to be all in the same, right?
Yeah.
And not to mention, like, the statute of limitations is completely run out on this case. So,
yeah, Michelle Smith says, seems like another O.J. Simpson scenario. Well, what do you mean by that, Michelle? Just explain what do you mean by another O.J. Simpson scenario? I don't want to.
I think she's talking about how Black people just rallied around and supported him regardless of the guilt.
Could
be. But let's see what she says.
Because years later, Black people started saying, man, OJ was guilty, man. We know that.
Of course.
To be sure, an opinion. Sherilyn Pringle kills.
FR made an initial post, got dragged, tried to clean it up in the subsequent post, and continued to get dragged as she showed Felicia Rashad. Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm telling you, folks, I'm not on that bus all the time. Slow bus sometimes. But it's interesting. I want to touch on the lawyer that made the deal with Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Something interesting out of that, folks. Something very interesting. So the criminal charges that resulted in Cosby's incarceration were brought in 2015 by D.A. Steele, who succeeded Castor as the county's district attorney. Castor is also known for defending former President Donald Trump in his second impeachment trial. So the man who made the deal with the legal team of Bill Cosby is also a lawyer of Trump's impeachment, one of his impeachments.
So the original deal back in 2004?
Yes.
Or 2005?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I mean, does that change anything? I mean, was he just doing a job? Because according to him, he just wanted to get justice per se for the victim, which was a civil settlement. So he made that deal. He thought he was doing something good at the time. But was it in the best interest of the victim at that time?
Yeah. See, this is the thing. When it comes to these sort of cases, rape cases, it's just it's all contingent on the victim, right? It's never contingent on the rapist, even though the rapist is the one who's meant to be proving their innocence, right? Well, actually, the prosecution is supposed to prove their guilt, but it's all contingent on the victim. So I cannot sit here and say that if I were a victim of a rape/serious sexual assault by a very powerful man, that I wouldn't go the route of a civil suit. Because while it's not justice in that the person isn't jailed, I feel like at least you're getting something because most people aren't going to believe you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can't imagine how difficult that decision would be, but I 110% understand it. You know?
Yeah, I want to read something else from the CNBC. Cosby's release prompted film producer Harvey Weinstein, his legal team to issue a statement embracing the court's decision. Now, check this, folks. In reversing the conviction of Bill Cosby, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has demonstrated once again that no matter who a defendant may be, and no matter the nature of the crime, courts can be relied upon to follow the law and come to the correct decision, said Weinstein's appellate counsel in a written statement. The decision also reaffirms our confidence that the appellate division in New York will reach the similarly correct decision in Harvey Weinstein's appeal, considering the abundance of issues that cry out for reversal. Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison in a rape and sexual assault case that ignited the Me Too movement in the United States. With that said, is Harvey Weinstein in prison?
Yes, he's in prison. He caught COVID twice.
Oh, I honestly, I haven't followed this. So
listen, I have no time for Harvey Weinstein, but go ahead. I'll make my point after you.
So I guess the question is, basically, that seems like his legal team feels like a precedent has been set, right? And they plan to use this as an argument going forward. Is this a audience? Yes or no? Seriously, yes or no? And we're going to do a giveaway in a few. Is this a bad precedent that's going to have severe, I guess, a severe impact for victims?
Yeah. So when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, like for those who aren't familiar with what he did, he would coerce women to perform sexual acts on him in order to cast them in his movies. That's what he did. If you were not willing to do this, he used his position of power as Mr. Hollywood to force young actresses to do, it's like mind-boggling to me. He used his position of power, and like the whole term, the casting couch in Hollywood, that's Harvey Weinstein. So you have all these women, dozens and dozens of women in Hollywood who he forced to do things to him, you know? And so you'll have people who say things like, oh, well, she slept her way to the top. No. If a man in a position of power is forcing you to do something, like a position of power as your boss, pretty much, like, no, that's not a choice. It's sex assault, whether you look at it or not. And not only did he do that, he forced all his actresses to wear the fashions from his wife's fashion house. So she benefited as well from his erroneous, disgusting behavior. So yes, Bill Cosby is a disgusting piece of, I'm not going to say it, but Harvey Weinstein, like the level. So I'm intrigued by this statement from his legal team, because it's like, no, go die in prison, Harvey Weinstein, for the awful things that you did to dozens of women.
Yeah, it's and I think Sam Cat Place says very bad precedent has been set. It's actually, I mean, just reading that, it was like, wow, like this is not good. This is not good. Kales, Nicole Walker.
Weinstein has an appeal pending as well, and sadly, this outcome may have opened the door for him to be released as well. Both cases also allowed allegations from other women to establish a pattern, which was another reason for the success of the appeal. Yeah. I'll be interested to see how his appeal turns out, but there were many women who came forward in criminal cases for Harvey Weinstein, which is a little bit different from Bill Cosby. And then he also had a bunch of legal suits as well. So we'll see, but it's dangerous.
Terry says, meanwhile, there are men of power abusing it and others just sitting around watching it, allowing it. Karen Edward Simmons says, this is a precedent that will benefit white males and how they can get the power back to what it is their believed entitlement. Well, that's an interesting comment, because I think when you look at what's happening in the U.S. in particular, they do feel like they're under threat. They do feel like they're under threat. So I think she's correct with that. Folks, we have to wrap it up. What are your final thoughts on this topic, Kales? Like what's your biggest takeaway or disappointment?
I guess my disappointment is that you can, as a man of power, and it doesn't have to be a rich celebrity, just a man of power, meaning you have power over a woman. That's it. I'm continually disappointed when men who are in positions of power, whether they're Black, white, Asian, whatever, can treat women however they want, abuse, misuse, mistreat them, and get away with it.
Yeah.
That will always be a point of contention for me, and it will always be something that I champion for women's rights, women's voices, women's empowerment.
Yeah, I'll say this much. I'm not a woman, and I don't, like, I've never been in that position as me, the individual. But I'll tell you this much. What Mikaela just said echoes what we were fighting for with conscription. Like, being in a position where people have legit legal power in this respect and to do what they want. And if you report it, one, you're not likely to be believed. Two, oh, you just don't want to be there, or so. It's a tough position to be in. So, I as stated, I think you said earlier, hearts go out to all the victims. And folks, remember, this technicality did not exonerate him. Now, I'd be interested if he has to be a registered sex offender, where something around that's also going to be interesting. Stick with us. We're going to do a giveaway right after this break. We're going to have the daily play and send you off for a long weekend. Kales, what's your favorite season?
My favorite season? Summer, of course.
Okay, she's a summer girl. We'll go over our question of the day. We're going to do a lot of engaging things over the weekend. So just engage and you may win some things. All right. Remember what Mikaela's favorite season is. Hint, hint. At Bermuda Communications Group Limited, we love to help businesses and organizations of all sizes across various industries. Find out how we've been working with our clients to improve their customer experience and increase their revenue. Send us an email to contact@bermudacommunications.com to see how we can assist you next. Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. She's Mikaela and Jamel. Thanks again to One Communications, Lindo's, Medical House, and Channel 82, everyone who continues to support us in what we do every day. Really appreciate them. It is the Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. I'm going to have a refreshing few.
Oh my God.
So look, Daily Play today. Help her out, folks. Help her out. I promise. If you get it before Mikaela, you got yourself a prize. We're going to stump her today, I think.
Okay.
Here's the question for today, folks. What style of music is heard in restaurants, buses, and shops throughout the Dominican Republic?
Reggaeton? Oh, bachata? No, that's a dance. Bachata's a dance. This is not a name that place. What are you talking about?
I said with a twist.
Salsa?
Not salsa. I'll ask the question again. What style of music is heard in restaurants, buses, and shops throughout the Dominican Republic? It's not salsa.
I said reggaeton. It's not that. It wouldn't be compa because that's Haitian. Jeez. Merengue. No, that's a dance.
Yes, she got it, folks. She got
Merengue
it.
is a dance. It's not a music.
According to this, right? It is a music. All right. So what?
Merengue is a dance.
People saying Latin music. Well, I mean that it is Latin music.
But merengue is more of a dance than a music, I thought.
Oh, you know what? We're gonna settle this now, folks. Let's check it out.
Are we Googling it? I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't been around Dominicans in a while.
She says it's how do you spell merengue? Shucks.
Meringue.
Yeah, it says merengue is a type of music and dance. So she's right. Right. So, folks, I got you too. I didn't just stump Mikaela.
You didn't stump me because I got the answer. It took 4 tries, but I got the answer because I said reggaeton, I said bachata, I said salsa, and then I said merengue. Because I thought merengue was the first thing that came in my head was merengue, but then I was like, no, that's a dance. I didn't think it was a music.
Yeah, Rosalind Famous says she has both.
New today.
Music. All right, folks. Hashtag is the Daily Hour today. Just hashtag the Daily Hour. Kales, what are your what can we do as a community to make everyone feel safer? Individually.
So it takes me back to, I actually saw this meme. I've seen it multiple times, but I think I saw it yesterday or the day before.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal responsibility, right? So all my life, my childhood and teen years, I was always told, don't wear short skirts, don't wear tight things, because then you'll attract men who want to rape you. And it's like, women were raped when they wore corsets and long clothing and like all these things. So don't put the responsibility on the woman. Put it on the rapist. Put it on the man who wants to harm the women. But it's personal responsibility. We must look out for ourselves. We must look out for others.
Indeed. I was going to echo this. This is what I was going to say. I think we need to, not the victims, not just the victim, but people who see things wrong. Yeah. It's us. It's one us. So I think for me, it's for me to say, you know what? Let me do this. Let me do that. All right. Before we do the giveaway, just want to give a big shout out. My baby, not my baby. She's not the youngest one. Just close in age. So my sister under me, my younger sister Leroya, she's having her birthday tomorrow. I'm not gonna date her like I did last year, but please give my sister a big warm shout out. Happy birthday to my sister Leroya tomorrow. Let's do the giveaway. The Daily Hour. Are you ready, folks? Are you ready? Let's do it. All right, here we go. Who is the lucky winner today? Who we got? Marquita Lee. I think she's won today before. So congrats to Marquita Lee. You are today's winner. Folks, we're going to be doing some giveaways this weekend. Please, please, please engage on social media. We want to make you a winner. I don't want you feeling like me, loser. All right. So make sure if you haven't already, follow and like us on social media, subscribe. Kales, please, we need some daily inspiration after today's episode.
I got you. This is very short, but it's very good. Happiness is an inside job.
I love that.
It's not going to come from nobody else but you.
Indeed, indeed. Honestly, we have a month done, folks, and I just want to give a shout out to Liana, Mikaela, Sherry. Thank you guys. It's been an amazing month, and many more to go.
Yes.
On that note, I want to say thank you to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos, really for trusting us, to communicate and engage with Bermudians, not just in Bermuda, but outside of Bermuda. So really, really appreciate their support. If you haven't already, as I just stated, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and make sure you're engaging and answering the questions for your chance to win what's next. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Well,
Tuesday.
We'll be back to do this again with you next Tuesday. So make sure you subscribe, and make sure you go to bcgradio.com and listen to some good music to help your weekend relax and go by. So she's Mikaela, I'm Jamel. My friends, make it a great day and a great weekend, and go Bermuda in their game tomorrow against Peace out. Cheers.